Today, we're going to let you in on a few secrets and give you a few pointers on important things you should consider when thinking about moving to Canada.
Canada is one of the most popular destinations in the world for immigrants, and for good reason. The friendly people, the great customer service, the outdoor lifestyle, the wonderful diversity, the great cities, the good weather, I could go on. It's all true.
But despite all this, moving your life to another country is a big deal. So before you launch headlong into the move to the other side of the world, there are a few key things about Canada that you may or may not be aware of and that you should probably bear in mind.
Firstly, Canada is enormous. Your perception of its size will depend on where you're moving from, but as a comparison, if you are flying from Paris to Vancouver, when you reach the east coast of Canada, you're not even halfway. You could fit the UK into Canada 40 times, and the province of British Columbia alone is considerably bigger than New Zealand or Japan. Coming from anywhere in Europe, the sheer size of Canada can take a while to get your head around. The driving distance from the east to the west coast is over 5,000 miles, which, to give you an idea of what that means, if you drove 400 kilometres every day without taking any breaks, it would take you more than 3 weeks to cross the country from coast to coast.
Secondly, there are two official languages, English and French. This won't really be a factor unless you end up living in Quebec, which is very keen on preserving the French language, but it is something to be aware of. You don't need to speak French in Canada, but it is certainly encouraged. The number of people speaking French as their first language at home is currently just over 20%, and the Canadian federal government is required to be bilingual. In order to immigrate to Canada, you must prove you have a decent level of either English or French, and in an effort to keep the French language alive in Canada, immigrants gain extra bonus points if they can show proficiency in French.
So next up is the tax, which is not included in the price of goods, which again, depending on which country you're coming from, can be quite confusing. This basically means that the price on the ticket is not the price that you will actually pay, it's the price without the tax. The tax will then be added at the cash register, and this will most likely be a combination of Federal Goods and Services Tax, or GST, and additional provincial sales tax. So for example, if you buy a coffee, which is advertised as $2.29, you'll probably pay around $2.40 once the tax has been added. Or a car, which is on display for $26,000, may end up costing you closer to $29,000. The percentage of added tax depends on the goods you're buying. So clothes are taxed differently to food and drink, and the tax also varies from province to province. Interesting fact, Alberta has no provincial sales tax and is the only province which doesn't. After a while, you will get used to mentally adding up the extra, but to begin with, this can be a constant and often unwelcome surprise.
My next top tip would be to be aware that there are 4 seasons in Canada, really. Depending on which part of the country you're living in, the temperatures can be as high as 45 Celsius in the summer or drop to as low as -40 in the winter. For those coming from mild countries like the UK or hot countries like India, this can really be a shock, and you need to make sure you are prepared for all weathers.
Now, the next one might not sound significant, but it's about tipping, and it's very useful to know before arriving in Canada. If you are coming from a country where tipping is not part of the culture, it may come as a surprise that in Canada, tipping is not just appreciated, but very much expected. Unlike countries where service staff are paid a minimum living wage, those working in the service industry here in Canada are generally paid quite poorly, with the expectation that the customer will make up the difference through the tips. The amount expected very much depends on the province and the area, but the standard tip is around 15% and can go up to 30%. Of course, this is still a personal choice and you may not agree with it, but unless the service is terrible, customers really are expected to include a tip on top of their bill.
Finally, healthcare is a huge factor when deciding to move to a new place. And it is perhaps comforting to know that unlike the US, Canada does have a universal healthcare system. Similar to the UK's NHS, the government covers basic healthcare and essential medical services are provided for free. The waiting times might not always be to your liking, and not everything is free, such as eye and dental appointments. But once you become a permanent resident, you will be able to see a doctor for free, even if you then have to pay for your prescription. There is also the option of paying for private healthcare in order to have access to quicker appointments, and depending on your job, your employer may also provide some sort of health insurance.
Okay, that's all for today. Feel free to pop any questions in the comments below. And subscribe to our channel for lots more info on how to move to Canada.